Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is Tyler here, bringing you the 34th episode of the Tony Foster Wide Receiver Superstar Mode series here on Madden 24. So thanks for coming back to watch, man. It was disappointing last time, taking the L in our first playoff game, man. I was happy, to at least make it there here in our third NFL season. But taking the loss in that first round to the Lions was definitely disappointing, man, because I wanted to go on a run. At least we got a taste of the playoffs, though, and Tony still went crazy per usual. So, of course, we'll dive into the offseason here, and I'll just let you guys know right now, things might get kind of wild here. And I'll also say that I'll try my best to go through this a little bit quicker than I did last time, because last season's offseason video from year 2 to year 3 went pretty long, and I'm going to try my best to just run through it a little bit quicker. So you see, this is where the playoff bracket stands. After our loss, the Lions would move on to now take on the Rams. And you see the other matchups. You got Giants against Commanders. Then AFC side, you got Chiefs, Steelers, and Ravens, Jaguars. So it should be an interesting end to these playoffs here. It just sucks that we are no longer a part of them. After that 28-20 defeat, man. So yeah, that was tough. We had over 300 yards, all that good stuff. So yeah, if you missed that, make sure you go back and watch it, man. It was tons of fun playing in our first playoff game, man. It sucks that we got the L. But yeah, man, we'll go ahead and move forward in this offseason and see how things pan out. Start by looking at our stats on the season, man. And I will mention real quick, if you compare these to last year's stats, our numbers are actually down just a little bit. Not the touchdowns. Our touchdowns are actually up, but catches and yards are just down a little bit, not by much. But remember, I did lower the quarter length this season. The first 2 years we were playing on 10-minute quarters, and then I lowered it to 8 minutes for this third season just to try to get it a little bit more realistic and just so I can try to get through the games a little bit more quickly. But either way, man, still an absolutely insane season. I think it should be enough for us to get our second MVP award. But either way, man, 196 catches on the year, just shy of that 200 mark. I believe we had 220 or so last season with 3,600 yards. This season just hitting 3,481, still an insane season nevertheless. Averaging 204 yards per game. We ended up with 28 touchdowns this season, which is our most. I believe we had 25 or 26 last season, so nice to get a new career high in that category. And then remember last season I said that I wanted to improve my yards after catch average, which I believe was only like 3.2 or 3.5, somewhere in that range last season. And we have that up to basically 5 yards average, after the catch, man. So definitely nice to see us improve on one of the categories we wanted to work on. Longest catch, it says 84. In the game it said 83. So either way, 83, 84. Doesn't matter. Either way, that was a game winner. If you missed it, man, it was, I believe, around the middle of the season against the Falcons and that crazy comeback, man. But that was a wild game winner. But yeah, man, we had tons of fun this season, man. Once again, just insane stats. And now, if you've been around a while for this series, at least, you would remember in the offseason from year 1 to year 2, I actually showed like a graphic that I made for the game log from Tony, from his stats from each game by game throughout the season. I'm not going to do that. I didn't do it last offseason. I'm not going to do it again this offseason because it just takes a lot of time, man. And I mean, if you've been watching, we've been going crazy. What the stat lines have looked like. But I figured at least I'll go through the player of the weeks for this season so we can, highlight a few of our best performances. Our first player of the week this season came in week 5, man. Crazy game there. It was 16 catches, 320 yards, 3 touchdowns, man. We had tons of games this season with 3 touchdowns. I believe we ended up with one with 4 as well. You see Jordan Love even got a player of the week there at one point. You see he's with the Buccaneers now. But we also got player of the week in week 7. Again, going off 15 for 208, 4 touchdowns in this game. I think that's my career high, 4 touchdowns in one game. But yeah, man, just wanted to highlight some of the crazy stat lines. Week 10, over 300 yards with 3 touchdowns. And then the next week, just under 300 with 2 touchdowns. But yeah, man, it was an insane season once again. Only 11 catches there in week 14, but still for 239 yards and 2 touchdowns. But yeah, man, just, since I wasn't going to show the whole game log, I figured I'd at least go through these. And then, the last week of the regular season, we went crazy. And then, of course, an insane performance in the playoff game. Even though we lost, we still got Player of the Week honors there with the 20 catches, 368 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I actually didn't even realize that playoff performance was actually a new record, man. Not just for a postseason game, but for any game in the NFL ever. Of course, we already broke the record twice last season, but this season we break it again, hitting 368 yards. See, we had a couple other performances from this season reach this list, man. As far as touchdowns, I remember last season I mentioned that I wanted to get on this list because I believe our highest game was with 3. And then this season we did get one with 4, but there's so many guys with 4 that, they didn't end up putting us on the list. Either way, we are tied for the second most touchdowns in a game. We'll try to hit that 5 mark this next season, man. We'll try to get a game of 5 maybe. But at the end of the day, I just want to win. I want to get to playoffs and actually, make a run, try to win a Super Bowl now. But just going over, some of these records, of course. Wanted to update you. And then catches, of course. Just shy of that marker, man. We hit 20 a couple times in our career. Of course, 20 in that last playoff game. Then did it once in our rookie season. But unable to hit that 21 like Brandon Marshall got. So another record that we'll have to try to get next season. And you see there again, like I said, we had a couple hundred less receiving yards, or just 150 less. But either way, man, it's, we played a lot less because I lowered the minutes by 2 for the quarters. Either way, still love seeing Tony dominate the top of this list. And then touchdown-wise, we broke the record there with 28 this season. So yeah, man, we continue to just dominate. At the end of the day, my main thing now is, we got all the numbers. At this point, I just want to try my best to win a Super Bowl, man, because we're coming down to the end of this series. I'm definitely playing at least one more season, possibly 2, but this next one could be it possibly. So definitely would love to try to get to that Super Bowl, man. Well, into the next round, looks like the Lions are still going on that run. They dominated the Rams there, and they'll move on to take on the Giants, who just escaped the Commanders there with a 1-point victory. And then on the AFC side, you got Chiefs and Ravens moving on. So the conference title games are set there. So we'll go ahead and advance again, and then we'll see who was in the Super Bowl. Take a quick look at the Pro Bowl roster. Of course, Tony made it. We already seen it in the headlines last time. We'll go ahead and scroll through these squads, man, see if we see any surprises. I know Edwards, I believe, is a rookie or possibly in his second season now. But yeah, man, definitely some solid names here, of course. It's going to be the best in the business. You see there, Tony leading the way amongst the wide receivers there. But yeah, man, tons of good talent there. See if we got any of our teammates on as well, but not seeing any of them, actually. Tony might be the only. I think Smith is still with us, so at least we got another guy on the defensive side, Rashawn Gary as well. So there's a few Packers represented here. I believe Wicks is our returner as well. Wow, folks, check it out. The Lions. They keep it going, man. They take down the 1-seed Giants and move on to the Super Bowl where they'll take on the Chiefs. And the Chiefs absolutely obliterated the Ravens in that AFC title game. Remember, the Chiefs do now have Jalen Hurts as their quarterback. He led them to last year's Super Bowl victory. So they're looking to repeat, man, and the Lions are going to try to stop them. Folks, we were so close to winning back-to-back MVPs, but Tony Foster gets second place this season, man. Jalen Hurts beats him out and wins the MVP this season. That's tough, man. I thought, last season we didn't make the playoffs and I won it, so I thought making the playoffs this season, a couple more wins under our belt would have, gave me the back-to-back there, but Jalen Hurts deserves it. They, got the 1 seed on the AFC side, and he continues to dominate the league. So, he's definitely deserves it. So, this will only make Tony even hungrier going into next season, man. Feels like he got snubbed out of back-to-back MVPs, so still going to be hungry to get that second one. Coach of the Year goes to Robert Saleh, the New York Jets. I'll just scroll through the AFC awards here. Of course, we're in the NFC, so I'm not too worried about these. Just figured I'd at least show them. a lot of familiar faces. Of course, the rookies are, generated at this point, so they're just, fake players. But either way, figure it'd be interesting to, see what kind of guys are standing out for different teams. Josh Jacobs, best running back there. Leach, best receiver. I think he's only in his first or second year for the Browns, so that's cool to see. Zach Martin with the Steelers now. Wow. But yeah, man, just figured I'd scroll through these. You see Nick Bosa with the Patriots, too. That's wild. But yeah, man, some solid awards here. We'll go ahead and switch over to the NFC side now. Of course, Tony Foster brings home Offensive Player of the Year in the NFC, man. Love to see it, winning that couple years in a row now. And then Donald wins Defensive Player of the Year. Of course, he retired in real life, so we'll see if that ends up happening here in the game anytime soon, because we will, of course, check out retirements and stuff like that once we get more into the off season. You see Rashawn Gary there comes in 4th place. Go ahead and scroll through the rest of them, man. We'll see if any of our teammates got anything. Norwood 3rd on Defensive Rookie of the Year. Pretty cool to see, but looks like no one else bringing home any hardware on the squad. Of course, I'll get the Best Receiver award there. Actually, Elton Jenkins with Best O-Lineman award. Okay, like to see that. I'm kind of confused, though, because our O-line kind of isn't very good as a unit anyways. Jenkins is definitely the best on the line. He did end up missing the last 3 or 4 weeks of the season, though, with that injury, so I'm not sure. You would think that would have had some impact, but either way, they go ahead and give him Best Offensive Line of the Year. Love to see it. And Rashawn Gary gets Best Linebacker here on the NFC side. So yeah, a couple of our teammates, getting some hardware as well. All right, we'll go ahead and advance, man, and see who wins the Super Bowl between the Lions and the Chiefs. And there you have it, folks. Our NFC North rivals, the Detroit Lions, take down the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl 24-17. Wow. The Lions get their first ever Super Bowl victory. That is insane. DeMarcus Lawrence gets the Super Bowl MVP. If I had to guess, he probably had a few sacks, maybe even forced a fumble on Hurts. Because, yeah, Lawrence was definitely causing a lot of issues when we played the Lions this year. He was definitely getting to Adams a lot, forcing pressure and all that good stuff, man. So it's just cool to see, man. It sucks that we lost to them in round 1, but at least we can say we lost to the Super Bowl champion, man. They went on that run, and I'm surprised, man. I did not think they would beat the Chiefs, but they get the job done. Love to see it, man. And you see, again, the awards that we already went over there on the right side. But, yeah, man, the Lions get the job done. All right, next we'll take a look at retirements, and I'll probably just kind of scroll through these unless I see anything super important that I'll need to mention. You see Bakhtiari there. He left us this season and went to the Patriots, and then decided to retire. So I guess it was a good season that we traded him away. But either way, probably just assume there will be a lot of linemen here that are, in year 10 to 14 range. But yeah, like I said, man, we'll just scroll through. If there's anything I need to mention, I will do so. And what do you know? There it is, Matt Stafford. He started, quite a few games for us this season. It was back and forth between him and Jamie Adams. Adams improved a lot at the end of the season, and we saw him, finish out the last 5-6 games. And yeah, Stafford calls it a career, man, after 17 seasons. Definitely a solid career for him, man. Wish he would have done better for us, but also wish I could have, been with him when he was younger. That would have been nice, but either way, he retires. So still some questions at quarterback going forward for the Packers. Is Adams going to be the guy? Did he progress enough to, be confident in him going forward? And then, of course, probably going to have to bring in another guy to at least provide some competition or, get another veteran mind back there. Jimmy Ward, that's a hell of a retirement. Armstead and Matthews, Travis Kelce, Odell Beckham Jr. Man, there's some names here, man. Patino, one of the best linemen for quite some time. Russell Wilson retires. I mean, wow, there's definitely some wild names. Derek Watt, sheesh. Yeah, there's definitely some wild ones. Fletcher Cox, Adrian Phillips, Kyle Fuller. I mean, a lot of these guys were already older and weren't even on teams in this last season. But yeah, man, tons of big names on this retirement list, man. That is for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's still plenty at the bottom of this list. It's just at this point, these are guys that weren't rostered last season. But yeah, man, that's all the retirements. Lots of wild names on there. Alright, so we're at the re-signing period of the off-season. Just wanted to check a couple things out. I haven't looked at the team yet or not, so I'm not sure if we're even past the draft. I believe we should be, but the way the game works, I'm not sure if those players will even show up on the roster yet, so I'm not even going to look at anything yet as far as the roster goes. But we're just going to, keep advancing, and then we'll, kind of see what happens from here. But there's definitely been some talks in the news lately, so might be some crazy breaking news coming here soon before we get into the next season. Alright, man, now that we are through the re-signing period and free agency and the draft, we'll go ahead and check out the squad, man, and see, what kind of changes have been made to try to improve this team, man, because obviously there's some things that need to be done. Got to strengthen up the right side of that O-line. Got to figure out the QB situation. Is Adams the guy going forward or not? But yeah, man, we'll go ahead and check out the roster. We decided to draft another QB this year, man, and this guy is definitely a much more well-rounded prospect and seems to be a lot more ready day one than Adams was last season. Much better, ratings here. Seems like he can actually run a little bit as well. Has better throw power, better accuracies all around. Now, Adams' accuracies have gotten better, of course, with his upgrades and stuff. Because, of course, he still got tons of good stats last season because he's throwing to me most of the time, of course. But either way, he's now buried on the depth chart as not only did we draft Feldman, but we signed Jimmy Garoppolo to be that veteran presence there in that QB room. But yeah, man, I don't know how well this is going to do going forward. Feldman, of course, looks like he'd be much better than Adams, rookie out of Alabama. But you never know, man, with these young guys. I'm not sure how it'll go. Definitely reloaded at running back. No longer have Devin Singletary. We now have Rashad White, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer. And also drafted Michael Taylor out of Oregon. Seems like he is pretty solid there as well. Del Walker now buried on the depth chart in that third spot. He, could still see some playing time. I liked what I saw from him last season, man. But Rashad White leading the backfield now. Then at receiver, definitely some changes here, man. We no longer have Romeo Doubs or Christian Watson. Jaden Reed is still here as our slot guy. But the new number 2 is Jacoby Myers. I kind of like that, man. I think that's a solid, second guy to Tony. Tony's got a lot more speed and whatnot, has, pretty different skill set, where Myers and Reed can, do a lot of the other things. But yeah, man, it's pretty solid wide receiver room. I was worried about it, honestly, losing Foster and Dobbs, but if we add Myers, that's pretty solid. And then Walter Spruce will be the fourth guy, a rookie out of Michigan. All right, he's only 5'9". But either way, man, seems like we were able to retool this receiver room pretty well. Tight ends, pretty much the same here with Freiermuth, Nichols, and Kraft. O-line looking pretty solid. Don't have a center right now. I'm sure one of the guards will just bump over, or maybe we'll sign one. You see McGarry at right tackle. I think even one of these guys could even bump down to guard, because there's no reason to have both McGarry and Little. Both those guys should be starting, so hopefully they're smart enough to bump one down to guard and bump one of the guards to center, but it probably won't happen. I'll just scroll through the defense real quick. You got Roberson at end, Wilkins on the other side. Nice pickup there with Christian Wilkins, Armstead and Prince at deep tackles, and then of course still got Rashawn Gary. He's been a beast. Campbell at the middle, Phillips on the right edge. And then we still got Jair Alexander back there at corner. Outside of that, though, it's not looking too good, man. Max Eason and Greedy Williams, not bad by any means, but we play in a division with a lot of good receivers, man. So definitely would think you'd like to strengthen up that position a little bit more. And then Clancy at free safety, he's okay. Young guy still. And then Brisker, he's pretty solid at strong. So the squad actually not looking too bad, man. A lot of change, so I was kind of worried, man. But it seems like they have filled in the roster pretty well. So guess, yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for this off-season video. We have breaking news in the NFL. Tony Foster has been suspended for gambling That is right, Tony Foster, star receiver of the Green Bay Packers, has been suspended for 1 year for gambling. Well, that's a wild twist to end the episode, folks. I guess we won't be getting into any preseason action next time. Tony's going to be sitting on his ass like he is right there playing the game for a year. So granted, the story goes like this. Tony was gambling at some point during the season, but thankfully it was not on football. Had it been on football, Goodell would have banished him from the league for life. But thankfully, he was just gambling on basketball instead, which is still stupid. Tony got to be smarter than that, man. But yeah, they're dropping the hammer down hard on him, man, mostly because he did the gambling at the Packers facility. Had he been off-site, maybe it wouldn't have been as big of a deal, but either way, they were able to track it down and found, he kept betting triple-doubles for Luka and Jokic. I mean, I don't know, man. Tony's got to be smarter than that. But either way, we're going to be suspended for the next season, man. Year 4 is now going to be a wash. And when we come back, we'll be heading into year 5, fresh off a year suspension. And we will be a free agent looking to sign with a new squad. That's right, man. Tony Foster going to be with a new team when you see me next time for episode 35. So make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for that, man. I'm sorry to any Packers fans out there. I just had to do something to make things a little interesting here at the end, man. Throwing the suspension at Tony. Going to be out for this next season. And then we'll be back, man, as a free agent and try to sign. Of course, I wish there was other ways to get on a new team. You can't demand no trade or release or anything like that. So you've got to play out your 4-year contract. And then after this 4th season, I should be a free agent and should be able to sign elsewhere. But yeah, man, that's the big news. I probably should have broke it earlier in the episode, but hopefully you stuck around to the end, man. So yeah, now you know. Tony going to be out for a season due to the gambling suspension. And then going forward, we'll see what happens, man. But most likely going to be on a new team for year 5. But yeah, man, I hope you stay tuned for that. Hopefully out in the next week or so. I just got a lot of work to do. But yeah, hope you stay tuned for that and hit the like button on this video. I'd appreciate that a lot. And as always, hope you have a nice rest of your day. Peace.